So, a fringe objection here every once in a while to God's existence is animals suffering. Because animals suffer, God doesn't exist. And I've made a video talking about Alex O'Connor's video about Christianity's biggest problem, where apparently Christianity's biggest problem is animals suffering. And I've recently seen him in a debate saying, have this as one of his three arguments against God. Animals suffer. And I don't understand what's the problem here. I mean, animals don't have spirits. I mean, when atheists say, well, we're just walking balls of meat, I mean, that's what animals are under most theism positions, especially Christianity. And if anything, to be honest, this actually supports my faith. My faith is actually stronger now because of Alex O'Connor and his arguments, because Christianity's claim is that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. Apparently, the biggest problem with Christianity has absolutely nothing to do with Jesus, but with animals suffering, which our own book says were made for man. They don't have spirits. They can go to heaven. They don't go to hell. They're just walking balls of meat. I'll never understand how this can be an argument against God's existence. And I know you say, like, well, does he love his creation, blah, 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 blah. I guess that's an interesting point. But how does loving really work if they don't have spirits? Now, I would think that in order to be loved, you would have to have some sort of spirits within this context. Now, realize a lot of this is also subjective as well. I mean, us Americans, for example, I'll use the example I used with my friend. If we saw a dog being grilled, right? Just like any other animal, like, you know how in other countries you get pigs and they, like, you know, spin it around on a fire, right? Imagine seeing a dog on that thing. That would be awful, right? Americans would be like, no, you can't grill a dog. That is so wrong. I'm calling animal protection. You're going to jail. Right? That's what Americans would do. And me too. All right, I love dogs. But realize this is really subjective, because in another country, I don't know what countries, maybe some Asian countries. But seriously, some countries eat dogs. Like, not even joking. Same way how some countries eat rats. Right? We don't eat rats here. That's disgusting here. But in other countries, eating a rat is normal, right? In other countries, like, they saw that dog on the spinning thing, like, oh, food. Nice. Or someone in this country is like, hey, you know, I have a dog and we're going to eat it for dinner. It's like, Americans are like, no, what do you mean eating a dog? You can't do that. In other countries, be like, ooh, great. A dog. Nice. Food. Sure. 9 p.m.? But seriously, all jokes aside, this animal suffering thing's subjective, because depending on the animal, we don't care as much, do we? If we see a dog getting killed, that sucks. See a cow getting killed, I mean, that's just, it's food, steaks, great. So it's not even an objective thing that animal suffering is bad to us humans, let alone to God. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. God doesn't exist because animals are suffering. Who cares? Especially under Christian theology. They're walking balls of meat without spirits. In fact, actually, you know, literally in the Old Testament, God would take sacrifices of animals. Wouldn't he? So, yeah, that's another point against it. I mean, God clearly just doesn't care about them. At least in the same sense as humans. Because they don't have spirits. I mean, this is such a simple thing. And Alex O'Connor, my friend pointed this out. Alex O'Connor is clearly intelligent. He knows a lot of the arguments. He knows the arguments way better than a lot of atheists. Right? He actually knows what he's talking about. But when it actually comes his time to start talking about why he doesn't believe in God, he comes up with these awful arguments, and this is one of them. And I said to him in response, you know, Alex O'Connor is one of those people who just don't want to believe. It's that simple. Alex O'Connor just doesn't want to believe in God. So he comes up with, well, animals suffer, so God doesn't exist. I mean, that just seems like a cop-out. Unless you start saying, well, animals actually do have spirits and they have their own, God revealed their own, Messiah and blah, blah, blah. But then it becomes ad hoc, like really, really ad hoc. I mean, animals just don't have spirits. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to repeat that, but that's just the fact of the matter. Animals suffer, so God doesn't exist. Not a good argument.